Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi everyone. Welcome to Migrant Voices. Today I have the very beautiful Déesse.
Hi.
I hope I pronounce it Déesse.
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 Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
So we go Déesse. It's French.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And we are going to talk about a very interesting topic that is very close to my heart because I also have siblings that have been born in the diaspora, and most of the time these conversations are not had about how children born in the diaspora navigate identity issues. And so that is what we'll be discussing today. So if you don't mind, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Of course. My name is Déesse. I'm 24 years old, and I was born in Kassel, Germany. I have my origins in Cameroon and Burundi,
Nice.
and I studied social sciences with a focus on intercultural relations in my bachelor's, and I'm currently working with a GIZ project called We Do, which is trying to foster entrepreneurship in the African participating countries. Yeah, that's also something I'm very passionate about,
Yes,
giving back to the community.
we will talk about it towards the
Yeah.
end of our discussion. But um, so being born in Germany, so you're born in Germany?
Yes.
Yeah, and so growing up as an African in Germany, how did you come to understand who you are as a person?
That's a very interesting question because I struggled a lot when it comes to the question of identity, especially because I grew up in a dominantly white school, or actually it was completely white. I was the only black person in my school.
Interesting.
Yes, so it was really difficult to understand who I actually am, considering that I didn't have anyone except for my family. I didn't have anyone that I could look up to or be like, oh, okay, there's somebody I can identify with. So I think it really came in the late late teen years, let's say, where I got in contact with people that looked like me, or also the social media kind of got to a point where you saw a lot of people that looked like you got inspired, you looked up to people. And yeah, slowly but surely I got to an understanding who I am. And now I can say that I'm really, really proud of my heritage and of who I am, and of like, yeah, my origins, I can say, yeah.
So was it that there were no black people around you, or because of the area you lived in?
Yes, partially. I mean, I didn't live in a village. I still lived in a town or like a city that has black people, but I spent most of my time in my school. So
Okay.
that's why I didn't really have contact to people from the, let's say, African diaspora, except for my family, as I said. And here and there, I had also some friends, but my closest friends were actually white people. So people that did not look like me at all. And yeah. So, yeah.
So then did it get to a point where you felt like you had to choose between being an African and being German?
Definitely, I struggled a lot with that, especially in my like early teen years, 13 ongoing. I think there was times where I thought I was white, or I could adapt to the white culture, or I don't know, like I just wanted to be like my friends. I straightened my hair. I tried to do things that I was rebellious, you know. My parents didn't allow me certain things, but I still wanted to do it because my white friends were allowed to do it. But at the same time, my parents always tried to educate me on the fact that you are not white, you are not the same, you are different. You have to work harder. You have to make sure that you carry yourself well, because you're being perceived in a certain way from the rest of the world. So yeah, these were a lot of values, let's say, that my parents tried to instill into me, but it took a lot of time for me to understand, because when you're young, you just want to do what you want to do without really understanding why your parents do that. At the end of the day, your parents just want the best for you.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
for you, those moments where you were doing those things in order to feel that you belong to
Exactly.
them. But so
Exactly.
growing up, do you think your perception of yourself has changed over the time?
Definitely. Now I can say that I am unapologetically me, no matter where I go. Obviously, yeah. Thank you. I mean, obviously, there's moments where you have to read the room. You have to make sure that you behave a certain way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can say that I don't change myself. I don't try to fit in. I just make sure that, you know, people love me for who I am, and I also try to love myself for who I am. Yeah. And I also think that God played a huge role in that, because I mean, being part of a Christian community also gave me, or like also just believing in something higher, believing in God, believing in Jesus, gave me a better understanding about my identity. And yeah, God made me the way I am, and it's perfect. And I don't have to question that. I don't have to think that the grass is how do you say, the grass is greener on the other side. No, I'm actually very happy that I came to a point where I just accept myself and I love myself, and yeah, I'm very proud. Like, I love to show my Africanness. I love
I can
to,
see that in your hair.
yes, you know, you have to wear your crown.
Exactly.
Yeah, unapologetically.
So for you, faith in God actually played a very important role, because when I see a lot of second generation migrants, when I speak to them, some of them don't believe in God, or don't believe in the existence of anything.
Yeah,
But for you, it played a very important role.
definitely. Yeah.
Did you go to church yourself, or your parents took you to church?
No, I didn't really grow up very religiously. I did get baptized when I was 8. My parents asked me. I said yes. I didn't know what that meant. I just said yes because, I mean, party, you know, who would say no? And then I also went to a Catholic school. But I feel like instead of bringing me closer to God, it kind of created more distance to the whole concept of believing in Christianity in general. And I would say 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, I actually started to find interest and looking for something deeper in life, because I was always asking myself, like, what is the actual sense?
Yeah.
What is the reason I'm alive? What is all this? And then I felt like there was something inside of me that could not be like not I wouldn't say a hole. That's not the right word, but kind of like a hole, and I didn't know how to fill it. And then I realized,
Like, okay, that's
yes, exactly. And yeah, the only thing that could fill it and did fill it, and it's still a process. It's a, it's not always a straight path when it comes to faith, but yeah, my faith in God definitely played a huge role in understanding who I am and who I want to become.
Yeah, it's very interesting, because I don't hear people saying, like I said, the kids born here talking about faith that much. Some of them will say, "Oh, maybe I took to sports, or I took to something to heal, or to counseling, or whatever." But I am, I mean, as a Christian myself, I'm really excited to see somebody who is clinging to Jesus so
Yes.
much. Yeah, but so I just wanted to ask. You talked about you trying to be unapologetically African and being you. So, what parts of your heritage? Because you have a Cameroonian background and a Burundi background. I mean, thinking about it, what are some of the things about your heritage that you think you have retained that is making you be the woman that you are now? Something that you have had to do to reclaim yourself, to redefine yourself.
I think, I don't know if that answers the question, but hair is a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
As I already mentioned, I used to straighten my hair. I always wanted to make sure that my hair does not look African. Funny enough, I did once or twice, but I was never somebody that wore wigs so much. But still, I was wearing braids. Obviously, I love braids until now. I'm actually getting my hair braided tomorrow. But just to say that wearing my hair like that, for example, in a completely natural state, is something that I would have never done, let's say, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So that plays a huge role. Also, I embrace wearing cultural attire in my free time, which is also due to the fact that I spend time in African countries. Like, for example, I spent 4 months in Benin Republic for my internship at the German embassy, and I think that also, even though it's not my home country, it still has a lot of similarities, and you still feel like, oh, okay, that's kind of a place where you belong because you look like the people here. The people don't immediately understand that you're not from there. They speak to you in their language, and then you're just like, I'm
You
so
look like
sorry.
them.
Yes, sorry, I don't understand. But at the same
Yeah.
time, seeing them wearing their traditional outfits so proudly also inspired me to just do the same here in Germany. Yeah, so I think it's a lot. Yeah, a lot. It has a lot to do with the appearance, like hair, outfit, clothes, but also music, for example, plays a huge role. Got more interested in music from my home countries.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also something that I grew up with, but now I actually cherish it even more. And I'm looking for new songs, and I'm trying to find ways to, yeah, to just stay up to date when it comes to the music.
And
Yeah,
those things help you to connect to
definitely.
your African roots.
Also, it helps to connect to other people from the diaspora, let's say, for example, or like even just people from the places, because on TikTok nowadays you connect a lot through music, for example, and yeah, it really does help to get an understanding of identity and belonging. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So as a second generation migrant, when I talk about second generation migrants, you understand somebody who was born to African parents here in Germany. Do you ever feel that you have been caught between cultures? Because for you, you come from Burundi, you come from Cameroon, and then you're also German.
Yeah.
So do you ever feel that, oh, I'm caught between these two cultures and I need to choose in order to fully represent myself, to feel that I really belong?
Yeah, it definitely played a role in my life, um, especially when it comes to the point that you, as somebody who was not born there, who has not, or rather has not been, hasn't grown up there. Sorry. Um, when you go there, you think, oh, finally I can go somewhere where I belong, you know. But then you realize, oh, actually, people don't perceive me as part of them. They still see me as, oh, the European girl, the German girl. Then when I'm here in Germany, even though I was raised here, I was born here, everything, I spent my whole life here, people, the first thing they see is, oh, she's a black girl, so she is not German. And the only way I can prove that I'm German is by speaking German. And then that they're like, especially the older generations, most of the times they're very surprised and be like, oh, your German is so good. How come? Have you, yeah, were you born here? And then I have to justify myself, you know? So it's definitely a struggle because you really don't have a place where you fully belong. There's the good thing is I'm not the only one in the situation, so I feel like we kind of, as a black second generation black community here in Germany, we're slowly but surely trying to create an own identity in a way where we just try to, yeah, combine the two, you know. It's a collaboration. It's a
So do you have a network
yeah.
of people like you in the same
Yes,
situation? And
definitely.
how do you people relate? What do you people talk about?
First of all, I think we can relate when it comes to our experiences, racism experiences, for example. Because also, what I realized, because I was also in contact with a lot of people that came here to study. So let's say first generation migrants, and their understanding of racism, for example, is very different from the ones that we face or we understand because of us really having we had to deal with this from the beginning, and now we had to
What do you mean
fight.
by from the beginning?
I mean, we were born here, so from little age we had to deal with discrimination, racism.
Oh, you did.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, especially the interesting thing is that I just realized later on what racism actually means. But looking back, I can definitely say that there were lots of situations that I would now call
Racism.
racism. At that time, I was just, you know, taking it as it is, because at the same time, you just have to find ways to cope. You know, you just have to find coping mechanisms. Otherwise, you will break.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's something that I noticed, that the understanding of racism is can vary between different generation migrants. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, it does. So
Yeah.
how I came here, I was already an adult when I came here.
Yes.
So
For
my
example.
understanding of racism will be totally different from you who was born here,
Yeah.
raised here, gone through school and all of that.
Exactly, and also, I mean, while you were living in Ghana, you were living in Ghana, right? So you didn't have to face racism. You were
No.
part of the majority. So coming here, I heard a lot of people talking about, yeah, but it's not that deep, until they actually face something very, very deep.
Yeah.
And that's when they actually understand. But there's also all those small things like, oh, your German is so good. Oh, can I touch your hair? Oh, you know, like, just these are small things for some people, but for us who have been dealing with this every single day of our lives, it just gets so tiring. And especially when you're young, you just want to belong. Like, you just want to belong to the country where you feel at home, in a sense. But that kind of also, the contrary of prohibits.
Yeah, prohibits.
Yeah, it prohibits us to feel at home.
Yeah, so it doesn't allow you to feel at home.
Yes, it doesn't allow us to fully feel at home here either. So, yeah, it's very difficult to navigate that. But as I said, I think through connecting with people that are in the same situation, who grew up here, who have origins in the African countries, it kind of gives you a feeling of belonging. Because, yeah, we all face the same struggles, kind of. Obviously, it's multifaceted, but yeah.
And did it influence the kind of education you took, the kind of job you want to pursue?
Yes. What I
Has it in
immediately
any
thought
way,
of,
has it
yeah,
in any way influenced? Yeah, because you're talking about fact that you now you feel that you have be able to come into yourself as a person, be able
yeah.
to identify with who you want to be. But all those experiences that you had growing up, do you think that it has affected the kind of education you took, the kind of friends you made later on in life, the kind of decisions you're making now in terms of job?
Yes, definitely. When I think about my career path, I immediately had to think about the way my parents influenced it, because I mean, I think it's very known in the African sphere, let's say, their parents always want you to either study, be a doctor, be a lawyer.
I'm
You
looking
know,
at camera to tell my dad, and that wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer.
you see. So for my parents, it was from the beginning. I was very good at school, so for them, it was like, you either become a doctor, you either become a lawyer or engineer or
Or work in the
something.
bank.
Okay, I mean, that wasn't the case for me, but I think they would have been happy with that too. But now look at me, I'm a social scientist, and for them it was really hard to accept. But I just realized that that's just what I want to do, and I also know that that's what God chose for me. How exactly that will look, we will see in the future. But I just know that this is something that is kind of parts of my destiny, in a sense. So yes, that's what immediately came to my mind when it comes to my career path. And then there was also something, I always wanted to be a teacher when I was younger.
Interesting.
But then my parents made sure that I would never become a teacher, because they told me about the fact that, yeah, you know, when you go into a classroom, the kids are very rude. They will make fun of you because of your skin color and everything. You will face a lot of racism. So at some point I was like, oh, actually, I don't want that. And which is actually sad, because I think we need more Black teachers, especially here in Germany. For children to feel represented, for children to feel understood, for children to just feel like they can also, like, they feel inspired, you know? Yeah. That's what I can say about that. And then I would say that I always considered myself as somebody who wants to help people. But the more I grew into myself, my heritage, my Africanness, let's say, I had the urge to, or the desire to, give back to my community back home. So I think that's something that really came into life through the process of getting to know myself better, and also to accept myself, to understand where I come from. Because even though I wasn't born there, I still feel the connection, and I also still see the need and responsibility to give back in a way. It doesn't have to be like sending back money every day, but I'm sure that at some point, like, one of the biggest dreams of mine is to establish an orphanage, at least one orphanage, maybe in Cameroon, maybe in Burundi, I don't know yet, but if God allows, yeah. To give people, give kids a place where they feel home, where they feel loved, and also combine with education and everything. So yeah, I think that's a huge part of my becoming, let's say. Yeah.
My next question will be that, do you have to code switch in order to feel that you belong to certain spaces, you know? So, for instance, when you are with Germans, you have to talk a certain way, behave a certain way. Of course, the culture is different, but do you find yourself deliberately doing that just so that you feel that you belong?
I would say rather not, just because I learned to be unapologetically myself. But what I can definitely say is that when I'm around my people, I feel much more free
And by your
to
people, you mean
by my people, I mean African
those who look
people,
like you?
those that look like me, exactly. I feel like I can really just feel free to express myself the way I want to express myself, because yeah, there's this kind of understanding, this kind of connection that is there from the beginning. Even though if I don't know you, even now when we were in the room, I feel connected to each and every person in the room just because of the way they look, you know. And yeah, so I wouldn't say that I necessarily code switch. As I said earlier, there's certain situations where I know I have to read the room and I have to know how to behave, because maybe it's a professional surrounding, so I know that I shouldn't speak in a certain way.
Exactly.
But it doesn't have to do with there being German people. But as I said, I feel more free, or more comfortable to fully be myself when I'm surrounded by black people. Yeah.
Yeah. Are there like parts of yourself that you feel like over here I can share who I am with? I think you kind of answered it in the previous question, right? Then, do you think that second generation migrants are kind of reshaping what it means to belong in Germany, within the migrant space in Germany?
Yes, I definitely do. I really think, and I think I mentioned that earlier, that we as second generation migrants, we had to learn how to form our own identity, which is a mixture of obviously the cultural influences that we have from back home, because even though we were maybe not born there, we weren't raised there, we still have, there's some values that are being instilled from our parents and just our family members in general. But at the same time, you are living in a country that also has their values instilled in you. So yeah, it's just kind of like a remix of cultures. And yeah, we are still currently, I would say, trying to form our own identity, create our own identity.
Are there institutions or structures within the German community, or even within the African community, that you think help with this process, or should help with this process?
Good question. There is one organization that came to my mind, which is ADAN. ADAN.
Adan.
Yeah, ADAN. It's an organization that is for people of color. They have different focuses. They focus on career, for example, where they try to create collaborations with different businesses so that it's easier for us black people to enter in different spaces that are usually not very easy to enter in. But there's also the focus on community building. So there's also this approach of trying to bring us together and making sure that we don't feel alone, because that's also something that I faced when I was younger. I felt like I was the only one that is facing those identity crises, this identity problems. But when I grew older, I understood that actually there's so many other people who face the same problem. So yeah, that's an organization that I'm thinking of. And just in general, I think community events are very helpful. It's just events that bring together black people here in Germany. Yeah, it's really helping to create some sort of common identity. Yeah.
Yeah, let's take two more questions so that I can let you go.
Don't worry.
Okay, so then the last questions will be that, so if you were to write a letter to your young self, what would that letter say?
I would probably start by encouraging myself to just love myself, to understand that God created me in a perfect way, and that I should embrace everything that comes with it, when it comes to my hair, when it comes to the way my face looks, when it comes to my body, everything. Just to embrace it, to love it, and to be proud of my heritage, to be proud of where I come from. And yeah, just never give up. Always believe in yourself. Tap into your potential. Don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid of what other people might think or say about you. At the end of the day, you have to live your life. And yeah, you're beautiful. Yeah. Beautifully made.
I wish my daughter would hear this finish.
You can show it to her.
And so, what do you wish more people in Germany? I mean, not necessarily in Germany, but in the other parts of Europe, America, Asia. What do you think they should know and understand about second generation migrants? What should they appreciate? What should they do to support them?
I think people have to understand that second generation migrants have a completely different story. You cannot categorize them into the German category, but you can also not just put them into the African category. You have to understand that they are kind of like forming a bridge between those two cultures, and they bring certain aspects from each of these cultures, and it becomes a mixture, but a beautiful mixture at the end of the day. So just try to understand that we we might lack some certain knowledge about maybe traditional practices in Africa, or when it comes to Germany, I don't know, things that happen. I mean, a lot of people might not grow up in a household where they talk a lot about politics, for example. So I always felt like, okay, there's my German friends who sit at the table in the evening. They have dinner with their parents and they talk about what's going on in the politics. For me, it wasn't like that. I had to find my own way to get informed. And now with social media, obviously, everything is more simple or simpler. But yeah, we still have a lot to bring to the table. We still have a lot of interesting things to contribute. So don't forget about us. We just need to understand ourselves first before we can actually, go out into the world and share it. But also embrace and appreciate those two facets. Let's say facets. Yeah.
Okay, and then the final question. So, how do you imagine your future? What kind of future are you building for yourself? And how do you think that will impact other African migrants, other second generation migrants?
First of all, I want to say that I want to build a future that is primarily based on my faith in God, my faith in Jesus. And from there, I think one big aspect of this for me is love. Love your neighbor. And with that also comes love your people back home, actually, So really giving back to the community and making sure that the privilege that you had growing up here, that you use it in a way that can also benefit other people that didn't have the privilege, that didn't have the chance to have all those opportunities. Because even though obviously our opportunities unfortunately have been limited due to the system, we still have a lot of opportunities that other people dream of. So just try to not only think about yourself, I will also try to just think about my brothers and sisters in African countries and how I can make sure that I can share my knowledge. Right now, I don't have the funds to really financially contribute, but I'm sure that there's other ways. And yeah, I think in general, especially because of my current internship, that's something that I'm really, really passionate about. But yeah, just in general, the collaboration between the diaspora and the local communities, especially in the youth, because yeah, with the future. So
more youth involvement.
Yes.
Focused,
more exchange. I would love for us to have more exchange and more understanding for each other as well. So yeah, I just want to build a future that is based on love and understanding and helping each other thrive. Yeah, pouring into each other basically. Yeah.
Well, it's been fantastic talking to you, and thank you. And I wish you the very best in your endeavors and all your success stories.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure to have this discussion, this exchange. And yeah, I hope there will be more.
Yes, yes, yes. There should be part two, actually.
Okay. I love
Thank
that.
you. Thank you so much for watching today. We're excited that you are part of this journey. Please like, share, subscribe, follow us, and do well to tell everybody on your timelines about migrant voices, because we
Yes.
want to reshape what it means to be a migrant. We want to have the hard discussions. We want to tell people about what it means to restart your life, or to see your life in a different angle or a different perspective. And so please do well to support us, share, like, follow, subscribe.
Yeah.
Also, if there is a story you want to share with us, you can always send us an email or a text, or send us any message on our social media platform, and we will share it. Until next time, see you. This is Migrant Voices, where every journey tells a story. Bye.
Bye.
Migrant Voices, where every journey tells a story.